You're standing outside a dusty outpost in Afghanistan, uniform soaked with sweat, scar tissue in your chest, discharge papers in your hand. 20 years of service, 13 deployments, 2 medals, and 0 retirement benefits. The Army's message is simple: budget cuts, personnel reduction, good luck. You're 45 years old. Half your skills are worthless in civilian life. The other half are illegal. You've got $700 in your pocket, a frozen bank account in another country, and one truth that 20 years taught you: loyalty is a one-way street and it never flows upward. 3 months later, you're sitting in a Miami hotel lobby. The man across from you looks like a general without the uniform. Expensive suit, manicured hands, but his eyes carry that familiar emptiness from the battlefield. He introduces himself as Blackwell, though you know that name is as fake as everything else. He's the operations director for Aegis Global Solutions, a private military company. They're looking for a logistics director, a real army with real guns fighting real wars but carrying nobody's flag. Salary is $300,000 a year, plus bonuses, plus hush money. The job description seems simple: get the right equipment to the right place at the right time. Don't ask questions. Learn to forget. Your first assignment is straightforward. We'll build a supply chain for 150 mercenaries protecting an oil company in East Africa. On paper, you're providing security consultancy. In reality, you're running armed patrols with semi-automatic rifles. The need list is long. MRE meal packs, water purification systems, medical supplies, ammunition, spare parts, communications equipment. Everything needs to come through Nairobi and reach the camp by land. Customs documents are fake. End-user certificates are purchased. A major in the Kenyan army takes $5,000 weekly and never looks inside your containers. The first month runs flawlessly. Second month, a convoy gets ambushed. 3 men die, $15,000 in equipment lost. Blackwell calls you, his voice carrying curiosity rather than blame. How could you have prevented it? You learn fast. You start paying local tribal leaders weekly consulting fees. Everyone who controls the roads is on payroll. At $9,000 monthly in protection money is cheaper than 5 dead men. When you report it, you call it local relations budget. Nobody asks what that means. Everyone already knows. The promotion comes in 6 months. Now you're managing all African operations, not just one project. 12 countries, 23 camps, 3,000 personnel. On paper, security consultants, construction workers, logistics coordinators. In reality, a mercenary army financed by the CIA. Denied by the Pentagon, ignored by the UN. Half the men on your payroll are ex-French Legion, a quarter are former Navy SEALs, the rest are just people who learn to kill to survive. Their nationalities don't matter. Only whether they pull the trigger matters. Weapons procurement is an entirely different universe. Guns purchased through official channels have serial numbers that get tracked, recorded, audited. Your guns don't have serial numbers. Sets you buy from an abandoned military depot in Bulgaria. Old Soviet stock, Kalashnikovs, RPGs, mortars. A Ukrainian broker facilitates shipping routes through Libya, clearing customs in Sudan, ready for use in Kenya. A diplomat takes bribes in every country. A general looks away at every border. Paperwork gets forged at every step. You just cut the invoices. The end-user certificate says these weapons are being sold to the Chad military. The Chad military has no idea such an order exists. Yeah, the paper is real, the signatures are real, the money flow is real, only the destination isn't. Logistics management isn't warehouse management like it appears. It's actually building a global crime network. You open shell companies in every country. Agricultural equipment importer in Czech Republic, construction materials distributor in Dubai, maritime consultancy in Panama. None have real offices, just a P.O. box, a fax machine, and a local lawyer's signature. And these ghost companies invoice each other, pay taxes, file customs declarations while everything looks legitimate. On paper, 500 tons of agricultural fertilizer is being transported. In reality, the container holds 30 tons of explosives. Nobody checks because nobody wants to check. Everyone's getting their cut at the trough. Tracking the money is impossible. A U.S. Defense Department contractor, a British offshore company, 2 Cayman Islands bank accounts, 3 digital crypto transfers, and finally cash in Dubai. There's nobody to audit. Even if the IRS investigates, the file is spread across 50 countries. Every country looks at the other. Nobody's responsible. Everyone's clean. You just remain the middleman, balancing numbers, arranging invoices, collecting signatures. 5% commission on every transaction. $15 million clean profit annually. You even pay your taxes because looking legal matters. 3 years later, The company grows, not just Africa anymore, but Middle East, South Asia, Eastern Europe. Aegis Global Solutions has 10,000 employees, its own air fleet, its own intelligence unit, its own medical teams. Your operations in some countries are bigger than official armies. In Yemen, you're doing port security. In reality, conducting harassment operations against Iranian vessels. In Iraq, you're protecting infrastructure. In reality, running covert operations against Shiite militias. Everything starts with a government contract, but where it ends is somewhere nobody knows. You just make sure the helicopters have fuel, doctors get paid, bullets don't run out. The rest isn't your job. At least that's what you tell yourself. The psychological toll comes slowly. First just insomnia, then paranoia. You think every phone call is being recorded because it probably is. Every email needs encryption. You take a different route home every day. You check under your car every morning. You count exit doors when sitting in restaurants. You never sit with your back to the door. This isn't anxiety, it's survival instinct. Because you know in this industry, people who know too much either retire or disappear. There's no middle ground. One night, you're sitting alone in your Dubai penthouse. Top floor of a 38-story building, view of the Gulf, Italian furniture, deafening silence. You have 3 passports in your home, bank accounts in 4 countries, $2 million cash in your emergency bag. But who do you talk to? You have no friends? Your army buddies see you as a traitor. You can't talk to your family because you can't explain what you do. You had a relationship with a woman, lasted 3 months. The first time she asked who you worked for, you showed her the door. Trust is a luxury and you can't afford it. The crack comes from an unexpected place. Blackwell calls you to a hotel in Geneva. Special project. Big shipment for the Myanmar military. Contract is $45 million. Your commission is $2 million, but the details are disturbing. The shipment includes heavy weapons to be used in civilian areas. The cargo manifest doesn't have anti-armor missiles, but the request does. You read the newspaper. In Myanmar, the military junta is committing genocide against civilians. UN reports say tens of thousands killed. The weapons you're sending will kill those people. Blackwell orders wine over dinner, praises the view, talks about your bonus. I know you have moral concerns, he says calmly. But remember, we sell weapons. Who shoots who isn't your problem. Walmart sells knives too. Nobody asks them about murder liability. You say nothing. That night you return to your hotel and stare at the ceiling. 20 years ago you put on that uniform because you wanted to protect something. What are you protecting now? Are you funding genocide? You sign it because refusing isn't an option. Refusing means losing your job. Losing your job means being someone who knows things but can't be controlled anymore. Those types of people don't live long. Year 7, disaster strikes. After an operation in Syria, a journalist breaks an expose. Documents show Aegis supplied weapons to opposition groups trying to overthrow Assad, while simultaneously taking contracts from both American and Russian sides, profiting from both. The scandal explodes. But Pentagon launches an investigation. British Parliament forms an inquiry commission. UN Security Council holds meetings. When the media smells blood, they attack like sharks. Blackwell calls and tells you to wait. The legal team calls and tells you to stay quiet. A week later, nobody calls. Your phones are cut. Your email accounts are inaccessible. When you go to the company building, your card doesn't open the door. The receptionist doesn't recognize you. Every file about you has been destroyed. Every record deleted, as if you never worked there. Aegis Global Solutions' official statement calls you a low-level employee under investigation. Low-level. You were the logistics director for 7 years. You managed billions in operations. But now you're the sole scapegoat. The FBI knocks on your door 2 weeks later. You're charged with violating anti-terrorism laws, arms trafficking, failure to register as a foreign agent. As they take you away, you look out the window at your own luxury building. People in other apartments are drinking their morning coffee like nothing happened. Your life vanished in seconds, but the world keeps spinning. The trial lasts 2 years. Your lawyers are brilliant, expensive, helpless. Evidence is everywhere. Your signature on every document, your emails, call logs, bank transactions. Your defense? I was following orders. I was working for the company. But the company doesn't recognize you. Blackwell testifies, says he never saw you. Your name isn't on payroll records because everything was paid through ghost companies. The system you created swallowed you whole. The jury takes 29 minutes to decide. Guilty on 35 federal charges. Sentence is 24 years in a supermax facility. No daylight, no visitors, just concrete and silence. You're 48 years old. You'll be 72 when you get out, meaning you'll never get out. First night in the cell, you sit alone. Walls are cold, air is stagnant, time feels frozen. You think back. 20 years you fought for the army. 7 years you fought for the private sector. And you mattered to nobody until you became useless to yourself. The system used you, then discarded you, then forgot you. Your cellmate is a former accountant. Embezzlement, wire fraud, 12-year sentence. He asks what you're in for. You tell him logistics. He laughs. Same thing, he says. Different spreadsheet. He's right. Yet you both moved numbers for people who stayed invisible. You both took the fall when the ledger didn't balance. Prison is full of middle management, the guys who signed the papers. The guys who knew too much but not enough. The real architects are still out there, giving speeches at business conferences, writing memoirs about leadership. Year 3 inside, you hear a rumor through the prison grapevine. Aegis Global Solutions rebranded. New name, same business. Blackwell retired to Costa Rica with a pension that could buy a small country. The CEO testified before Congress, called your actions a rogue operation by a disgruntled contractor, and walked away with immunity. The company paid a $50 million fine, didn't admit wrongdoing, and signed 3 new government contracts within 6 months. They're hiring again. Logistics director, 300,000 base. Experienced candidates preferred. But here's the worst part. Somewhere, another ex-soldier is sitting in a Miami hotel lobby right now. Across from him, a man in a suit is saying, "We're looking for a logistics director." And that guy is thinking exactly what you thought. 300,000 instead of 70,000. What's the harm in just moving weapons? What's the harm in just making money? And the cycle starts over. This story is fiction, but the system I described is operating right now. Private military companies are real. Shell companies are real. And somewhere, someone is doing exactly the job you did, telling the same lies, waiting for the same ending. If this made you think, drop a comment with your biggest takeaway. Subscribe for more.